Hey there, it's Teresa here, and welcome to another episode of Conversations from My Couch. I'm Teresa Youngkin. I am a leadership coach and consultant, and you will find me here every Wednesday talking about all things leadership. So, let's start. So, have you ever heard this question from your team? Why are we listening to this? Or why are we here? We've got too much work to do. This has got nothing to do with our department, a complete waste of time. If you've heard any of those and they sound familiar, you may have a leadership vision problem. So, what is your leadership vision? Well, let's start by looking at the definitions of leadership and the definitions of vision. So, leadership is defined as the actions a manager um, takes to seek every opportunity to communicate and to mentor or coach those in an effort to clarify your team objectives. And so, what is your vision? That is the act or the power of anticipating that which will or may come to be. So when we put that together, your leadership vision really helps you to engage your team to see new possibilities for the future through exploration, through boldness, and through testing assumptions with your team. So, according to Stuart Friedman, who's an organizational psychologist at Wharton, and I absolutely love his show on business radio, leadership vision is an essential means for focusing attention on what matters most, what you want to accomplish in your life, and what kind of leader you wish to be. Those three things. So, those three building blocks, focusing on what matters most, what you want to accomplish, and becoming a respected leader, is where you begin to craft that leadership vision. And there is both a business and a personal component to this because you are one person, right? We don't leave our job, take that hat off and go home and we're a completely different person. It's all mixed up and it's all integral to who we are as human beings. So I always add one more thing. That being said, and that is your personality, because your personality is one facet that many managers overlook. And your personality preferences are integral on how you craft and communicate a compelling story of the future for your team. In essence, it's showing your team the why, right? So we talked about last week how your experiences helped to mold your personality, who you are, and how that presents in your leadership vision. And I'm sorry, in your leadership journey and that vision. And we talked about how experiences are comprised of your past, what you think the future holds, and what the future holds really is built on your current knowledge now and what your business or whatever your organizational goals are, right? Like it all gets kind of muddled together and then you cast a vision for the future. But we can't forget to be real. And that's where you have to deal with the realities of today, right? So, example, if you don't have resources to do a task or to accomplish something, you just don't have the resources. It's not as if you can manufacture or you can just go hire for that just off the cuff, right? You have to get things done, but we've got to do it with a real perspective. So, once you have those pieces and you've crafted your leadership vision, you need to communicate it to your team. Now, communicating your leadership vision is like having a three-legged stool, and you have to have all three legs, or that stool's going to fall down, right? So, I'm going to give you three strategies how you should develop an environment of trust and start to engage your team. And those three strategies are going to be the three legs of that tool. Number one, you're going to have to build a way to explore new initiatives and ideals with your team and to keep them engaged along the way. Number two, you want to understand how to be bold. How are you bold in communicating with your team? How are you bold when you manage change? Or how are you bold when you bring new ideas to the table? You need to be bold in your actions. And third, you want to find ways to test assumptions without losing credibility. Super, super important here. So I found that many of the managers that I worked with, they shy away from new ideas because they don't want to be seen as a person whose attention gets dragged away by every shiny new object, right? Like squirrel syndrome is another way to say that. Um, but, valid observation. I won't say but, that is a valid observation. I just don't want you to use that as a crutch, not to change the status quo. And changing the status quo is what happens when you cast a vision. So, your leadership vision helps you to craft new possibilities through the future through exploration, boldness, and testing your assumptions. And you need to communicate that to your team to help them see value that they contribute to the broader organization. And when you do that, you start to minimize how many times you hear those questions from your team. Why are we listening to this? Why are we here? Why we've got too much work to do? This has nothing to do with our department. You see, when you craft that leadership vision and you present it to your team, they're engaged, they're bought into it. You've gotten all three legs of that stool together. They'll start to understand what their why is in your organization. Alrighty then. If you want to know more about the DISC assessment or how it can help you or your team to work together more cohesively and efficient as a team, or you just want to talk about creating a leadership vision and how to execute that, please reach out to me and book a call. You can go to my website, www.teresayankin.com/contact. You can find me on all social media, DM me, talking about all things leadership. Alrighty then, I will see you guys next week. And we're going to talk about strategies of how to align your team to get them all moving in the same direction. Pull the boat the right way, right? All right, guys. And remember, for 2022, I want you to be the best leader that you can be and be the leader that your team needs you to be. All right. I'll catch you guys on the flip side next week here, where we'll have another conversation from my couch. Peace. Technology.